Hi everyone, it's Aubrey in Wonderland, and here I am, can you believe it, in my living room, all by myself. I was able to get ready quickly enough this morning so that after my children all left for the day, I am actually ready for work. So I wanted to come and report back for my week 29 update. I had Roux-en-Y gastric bypass surgery on March 22nd, 2016. And today is October 11th, 2016. And my highest weight was 288. My surgery weight was 255. Last week I was 183. And this week I am 183. Exactly, 183.0. So, and I was 183.0 last week too, so there's been zero change on the scale. Honestly, that's fine. It's been a weird week. So, I was bloated and not feeling good because I started my period, and that's just kind of part of it. And then this weekend we went camping, and it was weird because in the past camping has been mostly about eating for me, and I haven't been camping since surgery. This was the first time. So I felt very weird the whole time. My stomach was being really weird too. My sweet husband, you know what he did? I wasn't super excited about going camping. I'm kind of an indoor girl. So I'm gonna take these off. So, and I was kind of lamenting about, oh, I'm not gonna be able to have any s'mores or anything. That's gonna be a bummer. Well, my coworker, I think I've told you about these, my coworker makes these protein donuts. His wife actually makes them. And I love them. I've never had a problem with them actually. And he asked my coworker, because my husband and I work together, he asked our coworker if he would please make me a batch of those donuts. He's like, I'll pay you, I'll pay for the product, I'll pay for your time. Please just make my wife some donuts. And I thought that was really, really sweet. So that I could have something that was special just for me anytime I wanted, but if everybody was having s'mores and I wanted some. These are like, they make some cinnamon toast flavored ones, not cinnamon toast, French toast, and then they make some chocolate coconut ones, and these were chocolate coconut. But what happened was every time I would eat one of those donuts, I would get the worst stomach ache. And it felt like almost anything I ate last weekend while camping was giving me a stomach ache. So here I was out in the woods, having my monthly and a stomach ache the entire weekend. And then the guys were out hunting most of the time, and I was just back at camp kind of hanging out with the kids. And I had a horrid stomach ache. And then, so in the past, what I would have really wanted to do is just to eat all day while at camp, just kind of munch, you know, all the rules go out the window and I just eat what I want. And not only did I not want to do that, but my body physically was not letting me. So I was kind of feeling these emotions. I was feeling frustrated that I was kind of stranded back at camp by myself. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was in pain. I was discomfort from cramps and stuff, and I really wanted to just comfort myself. And so that was an interesting day or two that I just had to like work through. So, but that was the weird thing, is just anything and everything I ate gave me a stomach ache, and it started with those donuts. I don't know what was in this batch that bothered me so much, but I know some of you have had experiences where sometimes you can eat one thing one day and have zero problem with it, and then another day you eat it and it just tears you up. So it is what it is. Okay, so that's my update. That's pretty much what's been going on with me this week. I'm looking forward to a loss next week, even if it's just a pound or so. At 183, my next goal really, or my next thing that I'm really looking forward to is seeing the 170s. So hopefully I'll be able to do that in the next 7 days. All right, so Lisa, MinnieMe in Tennessee, had posted a video specifically for bypassers regarding dumping syndrome. And her main point, or her main complaint, is that, you know, you don't get a lot of very specific information about dumping syndrome from people. A lot of people either gloss over it or they don't fully understand it, and there's not a lot of bypassers out there. Most of the people I'm following on YouTube anyway are they had the VSG, so that's a consideration too. Not a lot of us out there with the bypass, so I wanted to respond to that. So Lisa, I have had a lot of experience with dumping. I'm learning what my limitations are regarding dumping. So for those of you that don't know, dumping syndrome is a common symptom among bypassers especially. They say that people who had the vertical sleeve can dump, but it's mainly people who had the Roux-en-Y that suffer with this. And it's if you eat something that's too high in sugar or carbs, and it causes your body to have a severe reaction. One thing that I did not understand, and I alluded to this a few videos ago, that I wanted to talk more about dumping syndrome because I learned something at my monthly support group. It's really more of a nutrition class than it is a true like emotional or mental support group, but it's awesome at this point in my journey because I learn a lot every time I go. But I was totally like mind blown when they said this, and I don't know why because I've done a lot of research, but the research I have done has told me that dumping syndrome is when you have too much sugar. Too much sugar, something that's too fatty, but mainly too much sugar. And I couldn't understand why I had dumped after having some oatmeal that was not too high in sugar. And the nutritionist there blew my mind when she said it's not sugar, it's simple carbs. So if you are, you know, your sugars are going to translate into carbs. One of the questions that led to this explanation was I couldn't wrap my mind around what can I have natural, like a smoothie that, let's see if I can explain myself. I went to Jamba Juice and they had their natural all fruit smoothies, nothing added, but the carbs were still like 57 carbs in a smoothie. And the sugars were high, but I knew it was just from fruit. So I was asking the question, how do I know if this is something I can have or not? Is it? Is it not? Should I just stay away from it because it's natural sugars? Do I count that? Am I going to dump? And she said it's not sugar, it's carbs. If you see something that's higher than 26 carbs, you shouldn't be ingesting more than 26 carbs in a sitting. Otherwise, you're in danger for dumping. Now, some people are going to dump on less. Some people it takes more for them to dump. It really varies from person to person. There is no tried and true right or wrong answer. It's what your experience is. When I dump, what happens to me is I never start feeling a reaction right away. It's usually about 30 minutes after I eat, and I'm learning to recognize the symptoms, but once I start recognizing those symptoms, it's too late. There's nothing that I can do except just kind of write it out. So what happens to me is I start feeling this like tightness in my chest that almost feels like I'm feeling uptight and my heart is racing, almost like I'm really nervous about something. And I can feel my pulse going in my temples, and I start to feel a little bit like sweaty on my forehead, like a little bit of a cold sweat. And I've learned now that that's when I kind of go, uh-oh, something's happening. Usually within 20 minutes of that showing up, I will have to use the restroom rather quickly, and it's quite severe because usually I am constipated. Usually I go days between going to the restroom, and when I dump like that, it is swift and immediate. Man, I am cleaned out, and it is it's severe enough to clear up that problem lickety split. So not to get too graphic, but that's the truth. So and then once that happens, I usually now I usually dump at work, and that's the worst, but it's true because most of the time I'm not paying. It's happened because I didn't pay close enough attention to what I was eating, and because I ate too quickly trying to get back to my desk or get back to work. At home, I'm not saying I make any better choices all the time at home, but I tend to graze a little bit more, where I'll eat like a bite of a muffin or a bite of a cookie, and that's good, that's enough, and then maybe I'll have a bite later. Still, throughout the course of a day, I might eat maybe a quarter of a muffin. It's not excessive or too much, but at work, I might take 2 big bites of a muffin, and and then maybe I had a mocha or something that was sugar-free but still pretty high in carbs. And the combination of things that I've snacked on or whatever will cause a reaction. So then, anyway, get back to my story. When usually I'll get back to my desk, and it'll be about 5 minutes before I start to feel so tired that I can't hardly cope. I've gone home from it before, but the catch-22 is I feel so faint, and I love the way that Lisa described it. She said the word faint. That's exactly the right word. I feel so faint that I don't feel safe driving home. So I can't go home till I feel better. But once I feel better, I feel better. So I don't want to go home anymore. So, but yeah, I do get so tired that I feel compelled. I just need to close my eyes or rest, or I can't focus. And now some dumping episodes are more severe than others. Sometimes I will have a quick reaction. I'll use the restroom. I'll feel really crummy for 10 minutes or so, and then I'm good. Other days it has put me out of commission for hours. Now, to hear the nutritionist at the meeting tell it, she says if you have like a quick reaction or maybe just some diarrhea, that is not dumping. And I hear that a lot. I hear people both with I feel really far away from you guys. I'm gonna get a little closer. I hear people both with the vertical sleeve and with the gastric bypass. Anytime something doesn't hit them right, anytime they don't feel good, oh, I had dumping syndrome. Oh, I dumped. Oh, I dumped. And I think it's really misunderstood. A lot of people think that they're experiencing dumping syndrome, but what they're really experiencing is they just ate something that doesn't agree with them. Also, you're experiencing sometimes, if it's not true dumping, but you have that heart racing and maybe you have a little bit of diarrhea, but it just passes really quickly. Like what I was saying, sometimes it passes really quickly for me. She was saying that's more of a hypoglycemic reaction. So if you've got nothing in your stomach, you haven't eaten all day, and you go and eat, you know, 2 bites of a candy bar or a muffin or a cookie, you might have a hypoglycemic reaction because your blood sugars are low, and all of a sudden, so if you've got this baseline, let's see, if you got this baseline that runs here, and you eat something and it spikes up your glycemic levels, your glucose levels, I should say, boom, and then all of a sudden your intestines react and flood water to the area, and your glucose levels spike up, and then it levels off everything, so then your glucose levels spike down below where your normal would be. So instead of going like this, like you normally would, you're going boom and then boom and landing down here, and it leaves you on that low. So that's really, to describe it, that's really more of a hypoglycemic reaction than it is dumping syndrome. You can research it if you want, but the actual science behind dumping is that food is going, you're eating more food and slighter foods, like high carb, simple carb foods that do not take very long to digest in the stomach. They're basically racing through your pouch straight into your intestines. And when that happens, your intestines kind of freak out and they flood water to the area to try and digest that food properly and as quickly as your body can. And that's what's causing the cramping, the diarrhea, and then you've got the glycemic reaction as well, the spike that's happening in your blood. So that's what the racing and the dizziness and all that is from. And then once you hit that low from the glucose levels going down, plummeting so quickly, that's when you're getting that fatigue or that faint feeling. So what my nutritionist suggested in that situation is that if you're going to eat something that could potentially cause you to dump, make sure you have something with it that is a little harder to digest, such as a protein or something. That's why if I eat maybe a piece of chocolate or something, I'm usually going to choose like a peanut cluster or an almond cluster, without caramel of course, but just the chocolate and the peanuts. Also, I will sometimes have something after I have eaten my meal. So maybe I finished my tuna or my grilled chicken salad or something, and then I'll have a bite of a piece of chocolate or something, or a miniature peanut butter cup or something that I really savor and enjoy after my meal. That way your meal is filling up your pouch, your stomach is working on getting all that protein worked through your stomach, and then you're putting that chocolate or that sugar or those carbs on top of that meal, and then it's all kind of working together to get digested, and then it all gets digested through your intestines evenly and slowly, the way that our body was naturally intended to do. So hopefully that's not boring or too much information for you. I know I agree with Lisa. You're so right. There's not a lot of very specific information. Some of that is that there's just not a lot of information, period, out there about after weight loss surgery. There's a lot of information about the actual weight loss surgery. So we have to do what we can to share information. I am almost at 20 minutes here, so I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a great day, And hopefully this information was helpful to somebody. And cross your fingers and your toes and everything for me that maybe I'll have a loss this week. But until next week, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.